show today, a news bite, I suppose you could call it. 3 quick stories, 1 Star Trek, 2 Star Wars. So let's just get on with it. If I can find my thingamabob. There we go. Right. Strange New World Season 2 raises the bar for Star Trek cast promises. They always say that, don't they? Let's just get on with it. And there's Pike and Spock. Cast members and one of the writers of Star Trek Strange New Worlds talk about how the show's upcoming Season 2 will raise the bar. The series is currently filming the second batch of 10 episodes, which will air on Paramount Plus in 2023. The show will also continue its more episodic approach to storytelling, with self-contained stories and themes akin to the early shows of the Star Trek franchise. Pardon me, I just had a drink of coffee and it's repeating on me. Always when I'm sat in the chair doing nothing, I'm fine. As soon as I start talking on camera, I start burping. Unbelievable. Strange New Worlds follows the adventures of Captain Pike, Anson Mount, and his crew aboard the USS Enterprise as they explore new worlds throughout the galaxy, set a decade before Star Trek, the original series. I think it's a little bit less now, isn't it? Because, what were it? Discovery was supposed to be 10 years before the original series, wasn't it? And now I don't know how far beyond that we are in Strange New Worlds. 2 or 3 years, anyway, at least. The original series, Season 2, will continue to feature a young Captain Kirk, Paul Wesley, who was introduced in the Season 1 finale. But he won't be Captain, will he? We saw him in the Season 1 finale, which was terrible, I thought. Saw him as Captain Kirk, Captain of the Farragut, wasn't he? But in this, he'll be either an ensign or a lieutenant. Probably a lieutenant. He'll probably be Lieutenant Kirk. The new season of Strange New Worlds will also include a crossover with Star Trek Lower Decks. I'm not looking forward to that one. With the latter's animated characters appearing in live action. That should be interesting, at least. But remember, Lower Decks is there in the 24th century, aren't they? So they're like over 100 years after Strange New World. So we'll have to see how that comes about. Time travel. In an exclusive interview with Screen Rant in honour of Star Trek Day, cast members Jess Bush, who's lovely, Christina Chong, who's also lovely, Babs, Lussen Mucken, I don't know how you pronounce it, who, is a lovely man, and writer Henry Alonso Myers talk about how the new season will continue to raise the bar. The consensus among the cast members is that the writing has increased in ambition due to familiarity with the actors' abilities. Myers talks about how the writers are trying to tell stories that have never been seen on Star Trek before and expresses excitement for the fans to see it. Read their individual answers below. Right, Bush, who is Nurse Chapel. So I'll say the character name, shall I? So she's Nurse Chapel. I think the writers really were paying attention to what we all gave individually in Season 1. Okay, now we know what everyone can do, and we're going to kick it out of the park. It's awesome. Season 2 is awesome, and I cannot wait for you guys to see it. Chong is La Noonien Singh. There's an episode in there that is the first time it's ever been done. We'll see. It's huge. You will not expect it. Not the crossover. It's something else. And Dr. Mabenga. I think it's still the same dynamic storylines, but it's more intense. I can't say more than that, but it's strong. It's really strong. I was very happy reading a lot of the scripts for Season 2. We're excited about it. But they got rid of, Dr. Mabenga's. They wrapped up his story. They introduced him and introduced his story of his daughter that he had in a transporter buffer because she had an incurable disease. And then they wrapped that up, didn't they, in Season 1? So, where can Dr. Mabenga go from there? I don't know. They cured her. Spoilers. She was cured by an alien and she went off to live, her own life. And then he saw her grown up because she lives outside of the timeline. A bit like the prophets. But anyway. Right, Myers. Without giving anything away, we are trying to do everything we did in Season 1, but do it on steroids. Don't say that. I come from a writing philosophy of act like you don't have a pickup for another season. Act like there is no show tomorrow. So what is the story you want to do today? To that end, I would say season 2 is really ambitious. We tried to do a bunch of things that have never been done on Trek before, including the crossover episode with Lower Decks, which I'm delighted by and I can't wait to share with the world. I'm not looking forward to that. But seeing the Lower Decks characters in live action might be interesting. Are they going to be portrayed by the voice actors? Probably. It's not surprising that Strange New World Season 2 will raise the bar after establishing its own themes and tone in Season 1. To keep the story static is how most shows slump in quality after being renewed, instead of turning up the pressure to keep delivering a consistently strong series. It's clear from the excitement of the cast and Myers that Strange New Worlds will push the envelope for the series, maybe, I don't know, in ways viewers have yet to see in a Star Trek show. Strange New Worlds perfectly balances the old-fashioned structure of classic Star Trek while maintaining the more nuanced writing of its contemporaries. With such a long-running franchise behind it, it's good to see that the writers and cast are putting as much care into the final product as the fans have for over half a century. Viewers still have to wait a while before Star Trek Strange New Worlds returns, but if the cast is right, the wait will be absolutely worth it. Well, I hope so, because I enjoy Season 1 of Strange New Worlds. I'd go, as far as to say, I loved it. I thought it was great. Apart from that last episode. They always mess up the last episodes, don't they, of Star Trek series, the new Star Trek series, for some reason. But yeah, that final episode were awful, I thought it was. With Kirk in it and the Farragut and... But, hopefully they'll continue the introduction of the Gorn. They keep, drip feeding them, don't they? As the big baddie. But we'll see. Right, moving on to Star Wars. Next, Star Wars, the Mandalorian movie is a great idea, says producer. The idea, by the way, all the links for these 3 stories are in the description box below. And don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff. It would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, where were we? The idea of a movie version of The Mandalorian has been floated, and the producer of the Star Wars series seems to like the idea very much. As Mystery Science Theatre would say, I like it very much. You had to be there. While it's great to see more Star Wars action on the small screen, let's face it, adventures from a galaxy far, far away, I haven't got a drink. Oh no, I can't be drinking game. Should be big screen events. With this in mind, the idea of a Star Wars movie focusing on The Mandalorian has been put forward, and the producer of the Star Wars series is keen. Well, at least that's what Rick Famuyiwa, executive producer of The Mandalorian Season 3, thinks if you believe the words Pedro Pascal put in his mouth during a recent red carpet interview. The Mandalorian has become one of the most popular Star Wars characters since his debut of the streaming service Disney+, and the hotly anticipated The Mandalorian Season 3 release date could be just the tip of the iceberg. February 2023 is the... Well, that was the date that they were saying it was going to be released, but the latest trailers just said 2023, so maybe it's gone back a little bit. But we'll see. Speaking to Fandango, Famuyiwa and Pascal were asked about the prospect of ending Mando's story with a feature-length science fiction movie. Famuyiwa dodged the question, but Pascal happily dived in to speak for him. That's something I don't know anything about, said Famuyiwa. Pascal then takes the mic and says, I'll answer for him. Yes, he wants to. That's a great idea. And if it isn't a conversation already, then it will be after today. Good old Pedro. Oh, and here we go. So we have a listen. We'll have a listen.
Would you ever think of ending the series with a film?
I have no...
These are good questions.
Wow, no, you're coming at it hard. That's something that I don't know anything about.
I'll answer for him. Yes, he wants to. Yes, he wants to. And that's a great idea. And if it isn't a conversation already, then it will be after today.
Very good. The incredible success of the sci-fi series makes it by far the most effective Star Wars TV series to date. With the upcoming Andor release date, that could all change, of course, but the popularity of Mando and his little green buddy will be hard to beat. We won't hold our breath for a movie version of The Mandalorian, but we do know that Disney likes to make the most of its characters. In the meantime, why not explore our breakdown of the blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Right, so that's that one. And finally, anyway, yes, I'd go see a Mandalorian movie. I think it'd be very interesting. As long as it were a proper movie, not just like filmed, in the volume, in the stagecraft sets and stuff. A proper film with proper, location shooting. That's what we want, don't we? And finally, speaking of Mando, the Star Wars might have hinted at Grogu's future Mandalorian helmet. Following spoilers, maybe, blah, blah, blah. Star Wars has had a busy year thanks to Disney+. The Book of Boba Fett kicked off 2022 and it was rubbish, with a rubbish bang. And Obi-Wan Kenobi was a huge success, even though that was rubbish. Star Wars Andor, or as Stellan Skarsgård says, Andor. Star Wars Andor will bring fans a spy thriller in September. I'm looking forward to that. And Tales of the Jedi set for October. I'm looking forward to that, particularly the Dooku parts of it. Disney has also started marketing of the next season of The Mandalorian. Originally, multiple versions of a trailer debuted at Star Wars Celebration and caused quite a stir when they became available to fans online. Now, the official trailer was released at D23 and it was full of big teasers. Like the Celebration trailers, the D23 version featured a bunch of new Mandalorians who appear to be attacking Navarro. And, is that spelled right? I thought it was Navarro, whatever. And the return of the Armourer, who is set for a larger role this season. Bo-Katan Kryze also played a prominent role and maybe headed down a villainous path as she and the children of the Watch struggle for ownership of Mandalore. They've got to get the Darksaber, haven't they? Off Mando. However, there was another scene that didn't make it into the D23 trailer. In one of the Celebration versions, the Armourer appeared to be forging a Mandalorian helmet for Grogu. If that ends up happening, it would be a huge step in Grogu's character development. And there's a picture. I'm not sure myself. I mean, I know it's small, but it looks a bit big for Grogu to me. I mean, could this be a flashback and we're seeing Din Djarin's first helmet that he gets as a young foundling, maybe? Don't know. Anyway, in one version of the Star Wars Celebration trailer, the Armourer was forging something dome-shaped. Shortly after that, she held out what looked like a newly finished helmet. Well, it's not quite. It looks nearly finished. And that helmet looks suspiciously small. Yeah, but not small enough for Grogu. I mean, yeah, it's got to fit his ears in it, but then his head would be like there, wouldn't it? His ears would be here. Unless he folds them up in his... I don't know. Granted, it's hard to get an accurate idea of its size because of the nature of the shot and inherent foreshortening, but that relatively tiny size means it's possible that she made the helmet for Grogu. I don't think so. Because the fingers, you see, look... they're not massive, are they? I mean, Grogu's only a little tiny thing, isn't he? He's only about... where are we, man? His head's about that big, isn't it? It doesn't seem to be getting any bigger, does it? It doesn't seem to be growing up much. Anyway, for anyone who missed the Book of Boba Fett, there's a lot that's happened since Luke Skywalker took Grogu in Season 2. Yeah, they just decided not to bother with that, didn't they? Just made that a waste of time. They trained together for a while, but Luke gave Grogu a somewhat controversial ultimatum. Because of his emotional attachment to Din Djarin, Grogu would have to choose between life as a Jedi or life as a Mandalorian. Grogu's choice was to follow Din and become a Mandalorian. That suggests Season 3 will be about Grogu starting his journey as a Mandalorian. So it would make perfect sense if the newly forged helmet was his. It would signify acceptance of his new life and mean that for once the Force-sensitive character in a Star Wars story wouldn't be a Jedi. I mean, is it prophecy that Grogu's going to get the Darksaber? Because the first Darksaber was made by, a Jedi Mandalorian. So then is it going to fall to Grogu, who's going to become, Mandalore with the Darksaber? Because he's Force-sensitive as well. Be a bit silly, though, wouldn't it? It'd look daft, wouldn't it? But you never know with them. And there's the Armourer, played by Emily Swallow. Is that right? I think so, yes. You might have seen in Supernatural. She appeared in Supernatural. And she's a very attractive lady, and she's decided, to keep her face covered up all the time, unless, the helmet gets knocked off in Season 3. but we'll see. However, it's also possible that the helmet was for someone else entirely. Din and Grogu are the only members of Clan Mudhorn, so it would make sense for their helmets to have the same colour scheme, and these two helmets don't match. The new helmet was blue and silver, unlike Din's entirely silver helmet. The colour difference casts doubt on the Grogu theory, and it could also hint at a larger problem for the Mandalorian's title character. Din removed his helmet in Season 2, and also in Season 1, but only... IG-11 saw his face, didn't it, in Season 1. And for that, the Armourer holds him as an apostate. If he returns to the Children of the Watch in Season 3, she may deem him unworthy to raise Grogu and try to claim the child. Of course, that would be a mistake, because no one tries to separate Din and Grogu without risking a world of hurt. For her sake, hopefully that's not the case. Whether the helmet belongs to Grogu or to a new character, it signifies an interesting development for the upcoming season of The Mandalorian, but giving Grogu his own helmet would be a super cool addition. I think it'd look a bit daft. I mean, we'd have to have, like, unless he's going to squish his ears inside the helmet, he's going to have little cutouts for his ears to stick out in. Mandalorian Season 3 premieres, it says there, February 2023, but in the latest trailer it just says coming in 2023, or words to that effect. But the earlier trailer did say February. So that's your lot. There we go. So it's a quick and it's a news bite today. Get rid of that. So hopefully you enjoyed that little snippet of news. So wherever you are in the universe, look after each other, like and subscribe, and until next time, I'll see thee.